Okay, Brandon, how you doing? Let me go ahead and address your writing here. So you had sound like you had difficulty. You've had issues with developing concept first, which causes for my delayed designs. And in regards to the actual assignment, I place some texture in the sphere and give them a three-dimensional order. I also created three-dimensional squares, cube quality. I think that the thing that I'm getting out of this is the fact that there's not a whole lot of front end planning going on, and that's really really important in any kind of design, including a small compositional exercise like this. So really, I mean, I would recommend at this point, if you say you have having issues developing your concept first, I would recommend grabbing yourself a sketch pad. I don't have my camera on right now, but I've got 3 or 4 sketch pads right here on my at my desk, and I do at all times. I've got a couple next to my bed. I've got a couple downstairs. They're all over my studio. There's a couple in my car. I always have a sketch pad nearby, and the reason being is because if I get an idea, I sketch it out really quick. Now, it doesn't have to be a detailed sketch, and in a situation like this, I think that if you were just to kind of sketch out your concept, your idea, and how you really plan it, make a couple notes, and that way the conceptual development is planned, and you can really translate very easily to execution stage. So I think that's really important. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what we have here, Brandon. I'm going to download this file. Let's go ahead and open it up. Okay, now I don't think you're too bad at all here. I think there's a couple of things that you're doing well, and I think that the perspective associated with these round corner cubes is pretty interesting. You're also successfully using what's called the law of diminishing size, and you've also successfully included your textures in the compositions. Now, a couple of things I would recommend. Now, the background texture is great. Leave that. But the texture associated with the spheres, I would remove that. And the reason being is because it tends to flatten out what would otherwise be a very a sphere that's associated with depth and volume. But the way that this pattern is laying over it, and it's flat, the pattern itself is flat instead of conforming to the curves of the sphere. So that is really flattening out the sphere itself. So I would remove the texture from the sphere. The next thing I would recommend is using what is called overlap. Now you can do this. It's these 3 balls right here, these 3 spheres. Okay, so you have one, and I'm just going to use the spheres as an example. Okay, but you've got 4 spheres, right? So make sure one's the largest, then reduce the size even more until you have the smallest. So you have got 4 spheres, right? Now the radial gradient is great. This will work just fine. But take the largest and place it the closest to the focal point, the vantage point of the viewer. All right, then place the next largest one and just go right over here and place it behind and to the left. Okay, with the third one, do the same thing, behind and to the left, and the smallest one behind and to the left. So each large ball is overlapping the next smallest sphere until the second to last smallest sphere is overlapping the smallest. So you have large, next, next, next. Make sure the largest one is in the front and it overlaps accordingly as you move through to the smallest. And you'll see what that's going to do. That's going to create an astounding sense of depth. And I want you to try that. Once you're done with that, experiment with these rounded corner cubes, and also try the same thing. I think you'll be really pleased with the way that overlap and the law of diminishing size work to create the illusion of depth in a 2-dimensional composition. All right, those would be my recommendations moving forward. I'd like to see those changes for your final submission. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you, Brandon.